What is up, weather enthusiasts? I'm your host, Pat's Path Predictor. Let's get right into the weather. Now, this week, we had an absolutely viral situation happen in Iowa and South Dakota. We had a very powerful derecho impact it, and we also got some viral videos and other footage that we need to show you. So let's go ahead and dive right into this. Alright, so we're going to go over a couple of articles. We're going to talk about the derecho a little bit, but then we're going to bring up a few statistics because these derechos are happening more often than they really should. And I'll explain everything in just a few minutes, but let's first go ahead and take a look at this video right here, because as you can see right here, like, I want you to take a look at this. Like, if you look at a sky like this, you would think that a tornado was coming, but that's not what happened. Yeah, this is part of the derecho that hit parts of South Dakota and Iowa. And basically, how this happens is, as you can see right here, the sky can turn green if the storm hits at the exact right time. I've actually experienced this back in 2017. There was a lot of severe thunderstorms that moved through my area, and the sky looked pretty green, like similar to this, and it was partly due to it hitting at the right time, but it was also partly due to the hail cores that were with this, because there was a very heavy hail. They were like $half size hail at this point. So I'm kind of familiar with this. But yeah, this is what we're looking at right here. This is one hell of a system that we had right here, and we have some more footage right here. All this footage went absolutely viral, and this probably has an honorary spot on the Weather Channel show Weather Gone Viral. I mentioned this with the Morton tornado in Texas. This will probably be on there on another episode. I hope they do. We need to start a petition to get this on Weather Gone Viral, ladies and gentlemen. I want this there. And basically, in a more serious note now, we had a lot of flood reports, and we had thousands of people without power. We are going to expect that with storms like these. Like, we had winds up to 80 miles per hour in some instances, so you're going to expect systems like this. Yes, the sky was green, and not a green light. The green is the color of the sky before aliens arrive in a sci-fi movie. I don't know who writes in USA Today, but that sentence speaks so much right there. Like, I love that sentence so much, because weather is such a crazy phenomenon. It's almost like it's just from the movies. Like, I find it funny because the real life situation that we saw in the video right here is literally like a scene from a movie, which I find kind of funny and all that. So yeah. Or before the Wicked Witch of the West threatens Dorothy and her little... Who writes these articles? When USA Today writes weather articles, I absolutely love them because they write it so perfectly. I gotta give them credit where it's due. They entice the viewer and the reader of the article to keep reading. The National Weather Service confirmed that a derecho barreled through much of South Dakota as well as Minnesota and Iowa on Tuesday, leaving thousands without power after a destructive, long-lasting windstorm. As of Tuesday night, the extent of the damage of the storm was unclear, and the storms and warnings stretched as far as Wisconsin, the NWS said. In addition to heavy rain, the storm brought black, blue, gray, and again, murky green skies across southeastern South Dakota, including the Sioux Falls area. Weather watchers took to Twitter to share photos of the ominous sky while trying to find out what the green sky means. Excuse me. Does the green skies mean a tornado is on the way? It's not always the case. There's the stereotype that the sky looks green, there's a tornado happening. It's not always correlated, but we'll get to that in a different video. But with that being said, we're gonna look at some of these Twitter these Twitter photos right here. Like, look at this right here. Like, this is what came out of a movie right here. So yeah, and we take a look at this. We have more green sky photos right here. We got a Twitter video. Ladies and gentlemen, take a look at this. Ladies and gentlemen. Wow. This feels edited, but at the same time, it feels so real. Like, it looks like a green fog just went through and started infecting infecting everyone in this area. That is how crazy this weather event was. But yeah, wow. And basically, if we take a look at these green skies, like this photo right here, it looks too good to be true. But at the same time, weather is known to do crazy things. So anyway, with that being said, we're going to have to shift gears now. This is because we're going to shift gears to the Des Moines Register. Derecho sweeps through northern Iowa, marking the state's 4th in less than 2 years. Now, this is the serious part of this video. I already went through the funny part of this, the fun part. Now this is the more serious part, because at this point, of the last couple of years, derechos have been happening more than they averagely have been. Just for context, generally a derecho in Iowa will happen sometimes once every year, once every 2 years. The average over the last 30 years has been 4 every 3 years. Now we're seeing twice a year. In fact, we can go over the timeline that Des Moines Register thankfully put this up. Other Iowa derechos in 2020. August 10th, 2020. That's the textbook derecho right there. That is what's going to be in the textbooks of every meteorology class in 5 years right here. And I'll explain why. If for those of you who lived through that, you kind of understand why. We had 140 mile per hour winds, Category 4 status hurricane force winds right there. If this was out in the Gulf of Mexico, of course. But that's besides the point. This went from South Dakota all the way to Ohio. And that's why it's such a... this is why this is such a textbook example right here. The damage was over $11.5 billion, and crop damage was absolutely catastrophic. Like, Iowa lost, I think, half their crops, and Minnesota became the #1 crop producer that year. That's how bad this was. Then we had this one, December 15th, 2021. This was 5 days after the very powerful tornado outbreak that leveled cities like Mayfield and Bowling Green. There was also that tornado outbreak that caused the Amazon warehouse in Edwardsville to collapse and kill some people. And this was 5 days after that. This storm was the first December derecho anywhere in the U.S. and roused Iowans during the tense day of severe weather. The serial type derecho produced strong thunderstorms, and the max winds in this one was 88 miles an hour. The next one was May 12th, 2022. I actually was paying attention to this. I have a friend who I was talking to this about. He lives in Minnesota. I talked to him about this. We looked at this. This was mostly in western Minnesota. He lives up in the Minneapolis area, but it still impacted his state, and it was still a good talking point. 60 to 100 miles per hour winds, and it clipped Iowa in like this northwest corner of Iowa. So that's basically what we're taking a look at. But the thing I'm trying to make here is that we've had 3 derecho. This is the 3rd derecho in the last 7 months. And I'm not sure if this is a trend or not. I'm not sure if we're seeing a very crazy couple of years or not. But if this trend continues, like, it seems like we're seeing more and more derechos as time goes on. We had, like, there was a time where there would be a derecho every, like, 2 to 3 years at this point. We would have one in 2012. Next one would be like I'm not sure exactly the year. The next big one that I remember was 2020, of course, but I'm sure there were some smaller ones that happened. I know there was one in 2019 that happened, but it was a lesser known one. These aren't just lesser known derechos. These are big events that we're looking at. And yeah, we've already had the second derecho in less than 2 months. So the way I see this is that it seems that the climate in the Midwest is starting to shift to favor more of these wind-based storm events, because these derechos feed off of 2 things: heat and moisture. We already have a very hot summer going on in parts of the Midwest, and we're also seeing a lot of moisture going on. Like, we are seeing heat advisories and excessive heat warnings in the St. Louis metro area because of how humid it is. The temperature will get up to like the mid-90s. Heat index will just be 111. So the way I see this, once again, is that this is a rather disturbing trend that we need to pay attention to for the next couple of years or so. So just some food for thought, ladies and gentlemen. But with that being said, that's going to wrap up this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you liked seeing those photos and all of that. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you are new. The goal with this channel is to get more people engaged with weather. But with that being said, have a wonderful day. Food for thought. Just keep that in mind and stay safe.